Valeria felt a wave of malaise come over her. Her body ached, and she had a craving for pickles. This strange and constant desire signaled the beginning of an illness. She checked her temperature and was convinced of her suspicions. She felt nauseous, but all she wanted was pickles. She opened the refrigerator, hoping to find a jar, but discovered there was nothing in it but brine and spices. This angered her, because Tolik was in the habit of keeping jars without real pickles. Disappointed, she slammed the refrigerator door, sat helplessly on a stool and decided to call Tolik. But she was disappointed. His phone had gone to voicemail. She tried to call him several times, but without success. Valeria wondered where he could be, that it was so impossible to reach him. In addition to the fact that he ate all the cucumbers, it became impossible to contact him to buy more. Tolik was working with Valeria's sister, so she decided to call her and give her husband a fiery message. She also asked Tolik to buy sour cucumbers and pick up the children from kindergarten, since she was unable to do so herself. But to her dismay, her sister's cell phone also went unanswered. Valeria couldn't help but wonder what was wrong. It wasn't that she was nervous. She was just upset that she would have to go to the store alone and pick up the kids from kindergarten. She was already running low on energy and decided to rest for a while before going anywhere. As time went on, however, her body grew weaker and her muscles ached more and more. Along with her bodily discomfort, her head and throat began to ache, which confirmed the fever. She called her husband and sister again, desperately hoping for their support, but all to no avail. "Hello, Semyoka. I am glad you are available. I really need your help. I am feeling very ill and can't get up. Could you please buy some sour cucumbers for me? Make sure they are sour, not pickled. They are usually sold in barrels at the supermarket. You hear me? Also, can you pick up the girls from daycare? I'm having a seizure." "Hi," Serafima replied in a cheerful voice. "Are you pregnant again?" "Why would I be?" asked Lera in surprise. "Salt wants, and Tolik always hopes for a son," explained Serafima. "I have a sore throat. Have you forgotten? When I'm sick, I want pickles. So will you help me with my request? I can't reach Tolik and Irina. Tolik was counting on me to pick up the kids, but I'm not feeling well. Everything will be fine. I'm just finishing work. I'll stop by the store and then pick up the kids from daycare." "Do you need anything else at the store? Maybe you need some medicine?" asked Serafima. "I already have the necessary medicines, so there's no need for them right now. But could you buy some bread? I'll have to feed Tolik dinner anyway." "What would I do without you, friend?" Lera greeted Serafima and the children. "Come in." Valeria quickly undressed the children and said to her daughters, "Everyone, go wash your hands." Turning to Serafima, she added, "And you, Sema, go to the kitchen. Just in case, stay away from me. You never know, and I'm trembling with the urge to eat a cucumber." Lera opened the jar and crunched the cucumbers with relish. With eyes closed with pleasure, she ate 3 gherkins, then sat down helplessly on a stool, looked at her surprised friend and smiling said, "This is my first remedy for all sorts of viruses. Why are you looking at me like that, Siomka? I know it's just cucumbers, but when I'm sick, I crave them so much." Serafima continued to look at Lera, and Valeria didn't like her friend's pitying look, as if she expected the worst. "What? Why are you looking at me like that? It's just a sore throat, or maybe it's a virus. I'll be fine," Lera assured her with a smile. "Don't worry, girlfriend. I feel quite calm." Serafima looked away. "I am surprised by your collectedness. Let us postpone this conversation for another time, perhaps not today. When your throat clears, we can revisit the matter." "If someone had brought me news of him, I wouldn't have bothered," Valeria remarked cheerfully. No one brought any news." I came across the information myself today. How many times do I have to tell you? I'm not interested in news and gossip. They don't appeal to me. Valeria was indignant. How many times do we have to repeat this? I didn't understand how you can meddle in other people's lives and make judgments. Seraphima, don't we have anything else to discuss? Seraphima fell silent and pressed her lips together with annoyance. Any information I share with you is taken as gossip. I'm puzzled. Don't you want to be aware of what's going on around you? Okay, if you're not interested in topics like television or politics. But what about people, especially those close to you? Doesn't that matter to you at all? Not at all, Lyra objected sharply. Believe it or not, I just don't care. I know everything I need to know, and I prefer not to dwell on every rumor. Why the stress? I'm content with what I know and prefer to remain in the dark about the rest. You're like an ostrich that buries its head in the sand, oblivious to the world around it. You pretend not to see or hear anything until reality sets in, at which point you remain completely buried. Don't dramatize too much. Ignorance of unnecessary details allows me to live my life in peace. Unlike your anxious behavior, I prefer to face the harsh truth rather than soothing lies. I seek peace and happiness rather than unnecessary information. So are you living in reality, or are you under an illusion? Persisted Seraphima. Why are you picking a fight with me today? Snapped Valeria, knocking over a vase of cookies on the floor. And you call yourself calm? Marveled Seraphima. Your composure, my dear, may need some attention. Lyra sank down on a stool and, burying her face in her hands, cried softly. Is there anything that might calm your nerves and bring you back to calmness? Semka inquired cautiously. Let me give you something. The children rushed into the kitchen, shouting excitedly. Mommy, what was that loud sound? Was it an explosion? What exploded? Calmly, despite her tears, Valerie replied. No, it was just a vase that broke. I'll clean up the pieces and then we can have dinner. Tanya, the youngest daughter, asked. What about Daddy? Shouldn't we wait for him? Valeria replied. No, Daddy's working late. Will you have dinner with us, Seraphima? Seraphima hesitated for a moment before saying, No, I think I'll go. Thanks for your help, Lyra said. Seraphima replied rapidly and quickly left, slamming the door behind her. Lyra's older sister greeted her affectionately over the phone. Hi, sis. Did you call? Yes, I tried to call you or Tolik. I got sick and needed one of you to pick up the girls from daycare. Luckily, Semka helped me out, Lyra explained. I just turned on my phone. We were in a meeting, so the phones were off. Our boss has no sense of humor, so there you go, sis. What's wrong with you? Are you not feeling well? Her sister asked. Nothing much, just a sore throat. Lyra brushed it off. No, I can see something's wrong. Do you need some medicine? Let me buy some and bring it over, the sister suggested. No, you don't. How is Paul doing? Asked Lyra, changing the topic of conversation. He's growing up. It's normal for children to grow up, replied the sister. Lyra voiced her concerns. Aren't you afraid to leave such a little one with a nanny? The sister replied sharply. Well, I don't really have a choice, do I? You have a husband to rely on, and I have no one, just me. But Paul has a father. Maybe he can help you even if things don't work out, suggested Lyra. Let's not talk about that, Lyra. You know his father doesn't even know his son exists. How many times do I have to remind you? He's married, and I decided to have a child on my own. Age caught up with me. Remember how old I am, Sister explained. I remember, Lyra replied quietly. Well, that's about it. Call Tolik. He's probably online right now. Goodbye, and let me know if you need anything. The sister said and ended the conversation. The digital clock showed 21:15. Valeria put the children to bed and dialed her husband's phone number several times. The phone was plugged in, but Tolik didn't answer. "Irina, you won't believe it. I'm trying to call Tolik, but I can't get through." Her sister Lyra called again. "Maybe he's gone somewhere after work. Maybe he just forgot to turn his phone on. His number is active on the network, but Tolik isn't answering. I can't provide any information on that, sis. Maybe he's out with friends." "No, if Tolik plans to meet his friends, he always informs me 3 or 4 days in advance. Besides, he rarely meets them, and that's only on weekends. Today is Tuesday and I don't know what to think." Try to keep positive thoughts, sister. Negative thoughts attract negativity. "Irina, I feel terrible. I'd already got a fever of over 40 degrees. And now Tolik isn't answering either. Frankly, I'm getting nervous." "Calm down, there may be unforeseen circumstances." "But he would have called or answered my call. I feel like I'm going to faint with nausea." "Do you have pickles for nausea?" "Yes, I do. Take them and also take something for the fever." "Unsure Tolik will be here any minute." "Oh, Irina, Tolik is calling." "Okay, I have to go." "Bye." Valeria gibbered into the receiver. "What were you doing?" "I was so worried here." "And you?" Her speech was interrupted by a woman's voice. "Hello. What's going on?" Valeria's heart raced with excitement. "Who are you? Where's Tolia? Where's Tola?" Lyra exclaimed. "I'm the emergency room doctor at the trauma center. Anatoly Viktorovich is your husband, right?" "Yes, Tolia is my husband." "What happened to him?" Valeria shouted into the phone. "He was brought to us after the accident with numerous injuries. How is he?" "Anatoly Viktorovich is in critical condition, unconscious, in intensive care." Lyra was silent. Shock overwhelmed her. "Do you hear me?" the doctor asked. "Yes," Valeria replied, feeling perplexed. "You can find out more information in the intensive care unit. Goodbye." Feeling nauseous, Valeria hurried to the bathroom, as if her stomach was about to turn inside out. She took the medicine and snapped on a pickle, which eased the nausea a little. With trembling fingers, she dialed her sister's number. "The subscriber is currently unavailable." An automated message sounded in her ear. She had forgotten that Irina often turned off her phone at night, so as not to disturb her sleep. "No, absolutely not. The ICU is no place for visitors," the doctor replied firmly. "Can I examine him quickly and leave?" Valeria pleaded. The doctor examined Lyra carefully and asked Kate, "Why are you coughing? Are you not feeling well?" "You have an unhealthy complexion. I am a little unwell," Valeria lied. "All the more reason for you to leave the room. You shouldn't be here until you're fully recovered. Ask about your husband's condition on the phone. He is in an extremely critical condition." "Lyra, sis, I can't believe it. Barochka," Irina sobbed, her voice trembling. "I went to the intensive care unit, and they said they only give updates on the patient's condition to immediate family. Am I not considered immediate family? What about Tolik? What are the doctors saying?" Looking tired, Valeria glanced at her sister. She hadn't slept all night. Her temperature was fluctuating, and she felt terrible. "It's not good," Lyra replied wearily. "Tolia is unconscious, has a fractured cervical vertebra, and internal organ bruising. They had to perform surgery last night to remove hematomas." "It's not good," Irina repeated, her voice filled with worry. "Yes, it's not good." She sat down on the sofa and stared at a photograph of Lyra's family. In the picture, taken in a park with lush green trees, Tolik embraced Lyra, while their children, Tanya and Mashenka, sat on a bench ahead, all of them smiling. "They look so happy," Irina said, nodding towards the photo. "And I will never experience such happiness." "What are you talking about?" "What happiness?" Lyra asked, confused. Tolia is in critical condition, and we don't know what the outcome will be. Ira, I feel so sick. I think I have a fever again. To make yourself feel better, go eat some pickles. Irina said sarcastically. Maybe they'll magically make everything better. But pickles won't help me. Are you feeling sick too? Sick? Irina laughed bitterly. I feel like I'm losing my grip on the thread of life that held me together, and there's no one who understands or sympathizes with me. Everyone feels sorry for you now. Poor Larochka, if Tolia survives. He may be bedridden, and she has 2 young children. And if Tolia doesn't make it, Larochka will be poor as well, left to raise 2 kids alone. That's how our mother mourns for me. But the truth is, I'm not poor at all. There's no sympathy for me. Ira, but you chose to have a child on your own. Children are a blessing. There's nothing to pity about that. And I don't understand what thread you think you're losing. What's wrong with your sister? Tell me and I'll understand and sympathize with you. I'll be there for you, Irinka. Remember how you were there for me when we were kids. Irina remained silent, avoiding any thoughts about their shared connection. They were on opposing sides, and she didn't want to dwell on it. You are being secretive, sighed Valeria. How can I help you? Should I go to Pavlusha's father and inform him about his son? Maybe he would care and offer his paternal support. Oh, if I had given Tolik a son, he would have been overjoyed. Don't speak of Tolik like that, or you might jinx it, and he'll truly be in heaven, but not in the 7th, interrupted Irina. Pavlusha's father already knows about his son, but we haven't chosen to inform anyone just yet. What do you mean inform? Questioned Valeria. He was planning to divorce his wife, and then we would start a family, explained Irina. And what happened? Did he change his mind? Why are you speaking in the past tense? Why won't you tell me, Ira? It might alleviate your burden, pleaded Valeria. Irina looked at her sister with an odd expression. I don't want to discuss it right now. I'll tell you later. I promise to share everything, sister. When the time is right, I will tell you. Take care of yourself, sister. You can't help Tolik. If anyone can, it's God. You understand the state he's in, don't you? Keep me updated on Tolik's condition, please. I'm not a close relative, after all. I will go to church and light a candle for your husband's health, Irina said. Of course, I will call the emergency room and let you know immediately, responded Valeria. 2 days later, Anatoly passed away without regaining consciousness. Valeria's sorrow, a funeral was expected, but Irina's behavior caused a lot of gossip. People whispered amongst themselves at the cemetery, sharing tales of Irina screaming, crying, and clinging to the coffin, keeping Valeria away from it. Anna Semyonovna, the mother of Lera and Ira, couldn't bear it any longer and publicly pulled her daughter away from the coffin. Ira, what is the matter with you? She whispered into her mother's ear, as if Tolya's husband was not Lera's but hers. Compose yourself, daughter. Doesn't Lera know yet? What doesn't she know? Ira asked between tears. That Pavlusha is Tolya's child, revealed Anna Semyonovna. Irina suddenly stopped crying, looked at her mother and asked, How did you know? Her mother sighed and replied, One would have to be blind not to see the truth. Pavel is a mirror image of Tolya. I was silent, not knowing how to react to the scandal that was breaking out. Mom, however, continued, No, dear, God has not decided everything yet. There are still problems that I must deal with on my own. On the 9th day after Tolly's passing, the family gathered in remembrance. Lera asked Serafima for help in preparing the memorial table. The gathering was simple and somber, which Lera liked. Valeria, deeply grieving, preferred not to dwell on her husband's memory, finding solace in the silence. The toasts and speeches at the wake left her puzzled. At the conclusion of the event, Irina stood up and announced, I see that Lera is beginning to recover, but the grief remains. The time has come to reveal the truth that Tolia and I have been hiding. My Pavlosha is Tolia's rightful heir. A stunned silence descended on the assembled. Valeria, perplexed, shook her head in denial. Irina claimed that Tolia was Pavlosha's father and that Valeria would have to share the inheritance with her son. This revelation shocked everyone. Valeria gasped and then fainted. Serafima turned to Irina with a question about the purpose of her revelation. Valeria's mother persuaded Irina to leave, advising her to distance herself from sin. "I'm not going anywhere," Irina firmly stated. "I need to arrange something." The relatives realized it was time for them to leave. They had paid their respects to Anatoly, and now should not be involved in the scandal. Some tipsy relatives tried to protest, but Anna escorted them out. What to do in this situation was up to their family to decide. Serafima wanted to leave, but Lera persuaded her to stay, feeling overwhelmed by the situation. "Semka, stay. I feel terrible. This is all so awful," Lera said. Irina mockingly suggested, "Eat some sour pickles for your nausea, sis. Do you want me to get some from the fridge?" Serafima shooed Irina away and said to her face, "Who are you to judge?" Anna said goodbye to her guests and returned to deal with the ongoing conflict. "Stop embarrassing each other," she said sternly. "We need to recognize what happened, find a solution, and move on." Lera, confused and upset, asked her mother how she could handle the situation her sister and her husband were in. Irina intervened, stating that Anatoly would eventually leave Lera for her. Lera was at a loss for words, having no strength or desire to communicate with her sister. Serafima told Lera that she'd seen her husband and sister together, further compounding the betrayal. Lera broke down, asking why it had happened and what she had done wrong. Serafima comforted Lera, assuring her that she had done nothing wrong. "You didn't do anything wrong," Serafima said as she hugged Lera. "It was their choice. Let things take their course. You can't control the outcome now." The court decision took Irina by surprise, especially since it came from Tolik, from whom she had not expected such a thing. It turned out that Anatoly's wife, Lera, owned the car, while the deceased had bequeathed the apartment to his daughters and his wife. Despite the joint efforts of Irina and Anatoly to build a house, since the house belonged to Anatoly Viktorovich, the property was divided between Lera's children. Leaving the courtroom, Irina was all tears and disappointment. Looking at Lera, she whispered through clenched teeth, "I despise you. Your smug smile makes me sick." In response, Lera smiled calmly and suggested, "Maybe some sour pickles would help with the nausea."